Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Always Out of Market podcast. Today, we're going to be doing a little bit more of a special episode for you. It's going to be our first ever interview on the show this evening. But to go ahead and introduce you, I'm going to be your co-host for today, Gavin. I'm going to introduce some of the other co-hosts we have today. Trying to look at the screen again. I believe down to my immediately bottom is going to be Jason. Down to my bottom left is going to be Matthew.
Nope.
And down at the very bottom of your screen, for me at least, is going to be Steven.
What's up? Yeah, our order is a little bit different, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, dang it. Well, I was kind of hoping that was not the case.
No, it's okay.
But
keep going.
For those of you wondering who this handsome gentleman with the mustache is that is on your screen, Let me go ahead and introduce the former quarterback for the Brevard College Tornadoes. Back in 2018, he was the USA South Rookie of the Year, where he broke several single-season records for the Brevard College Tornadoes for completions, attempts, and touchdowns. He led them to their first ever bowl win in school history in 2019 at the ECAC Scotty Whitelaw Bowl. He is currently the last quarterback to have thrown a pass in a professional football practice to Antonio Brown, as he was rostered for the Albany Empire as quarterback. The lefty, DC, Mr. Dalton Cole. Welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Did your research, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did a little bit of research on you.
Oh, sweet.
Had to make sure that we came in ready to go, man. How you feeling right now, brother?
Pretty good right now. We'll see how it goes further through this.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't throw anything too controversial or too difficult at you, man. But looking at the team website for Brevard, I had a little bit of a question for you, man, because it looks like you made the switch from quarterback to wide receiver for your last two seasons. Is that correct on that information? And what happened with that, per se, if you want to get into that story?
Yeah, it is correct, unfortunately. But through that whole time, there was kind of like, I wouldn't say a deficiency, but there was kind of like, for me as a quarterback and having that athletic ability to actually go to different positions and swap positions, I was able to fill in spots that, say, some other people couldn't. So if we were struggling at the receiver spot a certain week, I could go out there. If we were struggling at running back, I could go there. We could go to tight end, whatever they needed, really. Ended up playing all sorts of special teams my very last season. But I kind of became like a plug-and-chug player because of the quarterback background. I knew the offense, obviously, inside out. I could be the coach on the field if they needed it. In fact, during our last spring ball, I was coaching 95% of the time that I was on the field anyways, just telling people where to go, what to do, snap counts, cadence, all that good stuff. And then going into my final season, my fifth-year season, I started out as a receiver. And the plug-and-chug guy, whatever you want to call it, Taysom Hill is what I was called at Brevard, the D3 version, of course.
Yeah.
But so as we went through the year, quarterback injury as it went on. I mean, we ran through 5 quarterbacks. And then coming up on game, I think it was 6 or 7, the Huntingdon College down in Alabama, our quarterback got a concussion 40 seconds before halftime. And they were kind of looking around, and it was me. I was the last one standing. So I filled in emergency quarterback, and after that, I just took off with it for the next 3.5 games, and then I decided to break my thumb on senior night, my throwing thumb for the second time. So that sidelined me for the rest of that game. And then luckily, my coach, obviously I was close enough with him, and I got to participate in the final game. So I officially played in every single college game that I was able to play in. Like, that was there. So
that is a hell of a step right there, brother.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
so basically, they said, he's him. Let's put him wherever we can. And that's what I got from the story.
Yeah.
if that's what you want to say, then I'll take the compliment. But yeah, whatever they needed, I was there that week. So
that actually makes me think of a good question. So how do you feel? Have you heard the news about in NFL they're adding like an emergency quarterback rule because of the NFC Championship? Have you heard about that?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard they're not a roster spot, right?
Yeah. We were trying to figure out the exact wording on that. It's basically your game day roster because you're going to have like inactives and stuff. They have to still be on your full 53 team roster. But the list of inactives, you don't have to have them listed as active unless they're emergency. But
the fourth string coming in that game. But
you just telling that story about just everybody getting hurt quarterback wise just made me think of the NFC championship.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy, man. I mean, a lot of the guys were like, one of my boys, like Cedric Brooks, like he was kind of like my position too. Like he was a stud, like he was an athlete, whatever, and he just happened to get rolled up on our very first game of the season, put him out for 6 weeks. You know, his ankles messed up, blue, black and blue, all that stuff. And you're like, damn, bro, there that guy goes. And then it was a broke wrist, and then it was a knee, and then it was a head injury, and then the other guy, he ended up getting banged up. Like I think his shoulder got banged up in one of our games too. So it's like anything and everything that could happen did.
Yeah. It's tough, and especially at these, because I went to an NAIA school, so I was down in the lower quote-unquote ranks of college as well whenever it came to college ball. But whenever you find an athlete like that, obviously, you know, winning Rookie of the Year and being able to lead your team like you did, if you find an athlete that knows the offense, it's kind of a gift and a curse at that lower level because eventually they're going to probably start kicking you out to other positions. Even if, and I'm not going to make assumptions on your teammates, even if you are better at a certain position, they may move you around just so they have the athletes everywhere else. You don't have to answer on that just to not disrespect your boys, but
you're not wrong.
I'll say it for you.
I'm getting paid to play, so I'd like to say that you're not wrong.
That's exactly right, brother. And for those of you listening, wondering where the connection came for Dalton Cole and this podcast, me and Dalton were actually both originally signed to the Atlanta Wildcats of the UFL. Now, we're not going to get into too much of that right now because we're still trying to figure out what all is going on with that currently.
Scrimmaging now? Is it now we're scrimmaging? Is that what it is?
That's I just looked at the website and saw that, man. I'm still not even getting any contact info from him. But
I've texted him. I've texted the man himself, and I've got no response. So
I'm going to be honest with you, brother. I'm not even worried about that anymore, and I have a feeling you're not too keen on worrying about it either, based on the fact that you were able to find yourself a job elsewhere as well. But right now, we're really just going to focus on your time with the Empire because that's the question on everybody's mind. Everybody's wanting to know about that. So how would you describe your time with the team? I know it was cut pretty short. You were able to come in and were supposed to be the starting guy. But what would you describe your time with that team like?
Well, it started off hectic as can be, not because of anything to do with the team, before I say anything. I was, as you'll see in some of the articles, I was at a moving company. I was on a job and got a call from a Pittsburgh number, which ended up being Coach Mo Leggett. Coach Mo was like, hey, man, this is me. You want to get up here and play? And I was like, well, when do you want me up there? And his response was, when can you get up there? And Gavin, I'm sure you know when you got a call like that, you were like, when I can, like I'm going to get there. So that day I was on the job. It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Get on it with my mom, you know, shout out to her for doing everything for me, like anything, honestly. But I was like, hey, can we get up to Albany tonight? And there was flights out of Charlotte in 2 hours. Charlotte is 2 hours from me. I'm in Asheville. There's flights out of Greenville in like an hour and a half, stuff like that. And then finally we got lucky on a Delta flight out of the Asheville airport in about 2.5 hours. So I hop on that flight, connect in Atlanta, and I'm up in Albany about 2 a.m., 2:30 in the morning. And I'm checking into the hotel at about 3 a.m., and I got to get up and get to meetings at 7 a.m. the next morning to sign my contract and meet the coaches. So my first practice. Go ahead.
You didn't have your contract before you put on the flight?
No, I was ready to go, dude. I didn't care if it was going to be what. And Gavin, I know you can relate. I was ready to play. That call was something I've been waiting to. If they had said, hey, man, this is your 10-day contract, there's no guarantee you get an extra game, that's cool with me. I was ready to rock and roll. Like, I was there to play. So, I mean, yeah, I flew up there, signed the contract that morning, learned as much as I could from Coach Tonic, our offensive coordinator, before practice. So, you know, I had a wristband, and, you know, I get up there at 9 a.m. for practice, and fresh off the plane, not knowing anybody's name, and hoping we can have a good practice. So that's how it started. That's how we started that whole thing.
So is that when it really felt like real? I know you got the call and everything. You probably knew that it was coming, but when you really got there and signed that contract, is that when you really were like, I'm about to start really getting paid to play?
Yeah, and it was a weird conversation I had to have with my girlfriend as well. You know, because I got to prepare her. You know, she's at her job, and I show up at 4:30, pulling her out of an appointment with a patient, and I'm like, I'm going to New York, dude, like 13 hours away. Like that's so that was for her and I, like that was a problem, not a problem, but like that was like a surreal moment immediately. And then when I finally get up there and I'm signing the contract and I walk out, and Gavin, you can relate to this. You just look at the arena and it's nothing like anything else. Like for it to be like as small as the field is, the arena feels massive. And that's the same thing for my time in Jacksonville as well. Like you just walk into a small arena and there's just rows upon rows of seats, lights. I can't think of what it's called right now. The massive thing that hangs overhead.
Oh, the Jumbotron.
The Jumbotron's hanging up there, and you're like, oh, this is real. That's when it hit me. When I had the helmet on, had the pads on, I step out there, and I'm like, oh, it's game time. Like, it's me and the guys.
You don't realize how hard those walls are until you start going over there and just stretching on them. You realize that it's about to be a problem whenever you run over there.
It's a lot of respect to, especially like my guy Fabian. Dude, he'll just 100 miles per hour into that wall just to catch the ball. 100 miles and just bounce off, and you're like, oh, jeez, dude, I know that hurt.
Mm-hmm.
There are just people that love ball in this league, man. I had a similar story with the Topeka Tropics. I got a DM on Sunday and was on a flight the next day on Monday to be able to come out to Topeka, Kansas, man.
Exactly.
12 hours away. It's surreal whenever you get that DM. But I know some of the other guys have some more questions for you. I think we're going to go ahead and lead off over to Steven to get some more questions going for you. But heck yeah, man.
I was gonna say, Dalton, this has been fantastic so far. Really appreciate you coming on. I was gonna start out with just something a little bit away from Albany Empire, just for a second. I just want to know, we're obviously big NFL guys, so let's say you were given the opportunity to play on any NFL team. What would be your dream team to play for?
Dude, the Falcons.
The Falcons.
I've always been a Falcon. My youth team is the West Henderson Falcons. My middle school team was the Raiders. It was weird, the Rugby Raiders. But then my high school team was the West Henderson Falcons again. So, like, I want to be a Falcon. I've been a Falcon fan. It's the first NFL game I went to. Matt Ryan was one of my guys. I have a picture with Peyton, so that's my favorite quarterback of all time. But Matt Ryan's one of the dudes. I got a jersey of his. Michael Vick, always related to Michael Vick, left-handed, all that stuff. And that's why I wore number 7 for so long, was Michael Vick.
Okay.
So I got Michael Vick out there, but the Falcons, the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium is gorgeous, man. If you've ever been inside of it, you know it is just beautiful.
Yeah.
The metal Falcon out front is just, it's awesome.
Yeah, so Tyler, who's not on this episode, and Jason and me all went to Mercedes-Benz Stadium to see Alabama play Miami there. We haven't actually been to a Falcons game there, but just walking in, it's something special. Like
it's so nice.
It is so nice.
Every part of that, from the automatic bartenders to the bathroom, it's awesome, dude. The whole stadium.
I want to give a quick other shout out to something I wanted to bring up in this podcast too. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I've talked about it with Jason some, but there's a guy right now, Tom Grossi, that's going around and visiting all 30 stadiums in 30 days to raise money for St. Jude. And he did go visit the Falcons. He's already done that one. He's still like on his journey right now. But when he went to Mercedes-Benz, he was like, this is on a whole other level. Just something.
Has to be.
Well, speaking of, you mentioned the fact that you're a lefty. I wanted to ask you a question about that. So, are you a lefty in everything? Is it just you're a lefty when it comes to athletics, or just in general?
So bowling, baseball, like batting, right-handed. Golfing, I golf right-handed. But if I'm throwing anything, riding anything, left-handed. But with a football, I got you about 25 yards at the right hand, if that counts for anything. but mostly left-handed. Anything that really requires coordination is left-hand. But then like golf, bowling, I think tennis even I prefer right hand with a tennis racket. But that's about it. It goes both ways.
I can relate to that though, because I ran track for a long time, and all my jumps were off my left leg.
Had to be
for some reason, way more dominant. But I'm right-handed. I don't get how that works, but
Yeah.
I know when I played baseball, like I guess baseball isn't quite the same thing, but I would be on like the left-handed stance first.
Yeah.
But everything else right-handed. So I don't know. For another question with the lefty thing, did you ever run into a situation where a team, when you were playing quarterback, had to make some serious adjustments because you were lefty?
Never, not necessarily like serious adjustments, but there were times you could hear the coaches screaming that I'm left-handed, especially at the high school level. They're like freaking out, like he's left-handed, and that goes with as a lineman, Gavin, like where do I typically float is towards our left. I'm where most guys could roll out to the right because you want to go to your dominant side. So especially when you're looking on defense, if you got an edge rusher, like your primary edge rusher has got to keep containment. So you got to make sure, hey, he's left-handed, so that right defensive end has got to maintain that, like contain on that side, like it's paramount. That's the adjustment, I guess. But nothing ever like huge, because especially at our levels, we get up here going both ways. I mean, I'm rolling out right side. You're going to get your shoulders around, get your hips through, and throw the ball like you're supposed to. That's why you get paid. But at high school, especially where you weren't as fine-tuned, it's where they're kind of screaming like, hey, he's left-handed,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. As a left-handed quarterback, you're going to be getting a lot more blitzes trying to force you out to the right side because they want to get you uncomfortable. I know just sitting into every defensive meeting that I could, that's what they always would talk about. What handed is the quarterback? And if it was QB, the entire defense pretty much flips. So
it's something small. It's something small people don't think about, but it's like once you get into the details of the game, like those small things. If you want to sit there and rush me roll out to my left all day, cool. That's easy. It's fine. Yeah. But now it gets uncomfortable. As minuscule as the wind up, how long it takes me that extra step just to get my shoulders around and squared up is, can you knock the ball out while I'm bringing it back? Can you get contact on me and make the throw bad? Like, it's those small things that could just affect it that much that people don't think about. But once you get to the higher levels, it really makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everything starts to really speed up, and every defense gets a lot smarter at every level you play at, man. I know you know that for a fact, brother.
100%. Yep.
Yeah, I had to ask mostly just because I've been so fascinated by Tua because he was of course playing lefty, but apparently he's like righty everything else. So
LeBron's left-handed but shoots the ball right-handed.
Yeah,
I don't get that. But all right,
it's just whatever feels natural, I guess. All right, let me move on. So I did have a quick question because I did check out. I found your YouTube page, I believe, and watched some of your highlights. So you've technically played at some point or another quarterback, wide receiver, running back, and tight end. Is that right?
Yeah. Right.
So as far as your like workouts and like strength and conditioning, did you have to make any like special adjustments switching roles? Like obviously drills and stuff are going to be different in practice, but did you have to do anything special like on your own to adjust for switching positions?
In my off season?
Yeah, just
or during season.
Either.
Okay, so during season, yes, there's 100% difference. Obviously if you're a quarterback, you want to avoid a lot of overhead stuff. From what I know, some people can have varying opinions. But from what I know, overhead stuff kind of take the stress off the shoulder. Obviously, you don't want to wear it down. You're going to go out to practice, throw 100 balls every day, 200 balls if you're warming up, if you want to count those. So in season, there's a big difference. But off season, dude, I train to be an athlete. The only thing difference is like instead of me saying, "Hey, my field day is me working on routes," I'm going to go throw into a net. I'm going to go throw to somebody. I'm going to have somebody spot throw. But even then, there's still sprint work. There's still agility work. I mean, I especially in college, I was training to be the multi-tool. I knew my role. Once that junior year of COVID year hit, I knew what I was. I had to be a multi-tool. I had to be able to be plugged in there and there. So I always trained to be the multi-tool, and it's kind of taken over how I train anyways. So even today, prepping to play professional quarterback, I still train like an athlete, but instead of a route day, it's throwing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, throwing the route tree instead of running through it yourself. In college, did you have to do a similar thing to Taysom Hill? Because I know you had that nickname back then. where every week he was basically just walking into meetings, and they would tell him, all right, you go to this meeting room today, and you're going to practice with this team for these couple of periods. Now you're going to switch over to you're going to move from tight ends. Now you're going to go to wide receivers, and now from wide receivers, what team we're going to run you at running back. Did you have to go through that variation throughout every practice every week, or was it just you knew a set position for the week?
So, depending on, now there were weeks where it was like, hey, you're a running back this week. We got a guy hurt on Saturday. We're low on running backs. You're going to play running back this week. That happened once or twice. But, yeah, a lot of times it goes off game plan and personnel packages, especially when I started playing receiver and they could plug and chug me, period, and I wasn't like the primary quarterback. So with that, then it's like, okay, hey, for this drill, work with the linebackers and tight ends. With this drill, go run routes with the receivers. Hey, come in, work quick game as a quarterback. So stuff like that did definitely happen. Like, it was a normality. But luckily, me and my head coach me and my coaching staff really, I was like the liaison for the entire team. Being a captain for 5 of my 5 years, it's kind of became a player coach, really. So the transparency with the coaches, just being able to be like, hey, what am I doing this week? And they're like, oh, man, well, we need you here on this play and there on that play. It varied by play. Not by week, but by play. I could be in a Queens package, with 3 receivers and a tight end. I could be in a Kings package where we had, 4 receivers, stuff like that. I mean, it varied by play.
I know you saw my eyes light up when you said captain 5 out of 5 years, because I thought I had you beat there. Back when I was in school, I became captain my junior year, then obviously senior year through COVID, and then my second senior year because COVID gave me that. I thought I had 3 was a good number for me. You had 5 of 5 years. That's freaking huge, man. That's awesome, brother.
You got to play quarterback, man. It kind of has its bonuses,
Oh, nah, that's a testament to you. That's a testament to your character. Don't try and downplay that right now. I know you humble bragged a little bit in there, but no, that's fucking awesome, brother.
Appreciate that, man.
Well, I was going to say, so as far as non-Albany Empire questions, that's all I've got. Does anybody else want to ask anything? And then I can just pass it back to Gavin or whoever to start off.
I think we're good.
Oh, Gavin, you're out of focus, man.
Oh, what? Oh, come on,
game up, dog. What's happening?
I don't know, man. I think I got too excited whenever I heard that you were.
You're coming. Here. You're coming back. You're trying.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to roll through with it. I think right now.
We can see it. It's okay.
All right.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and let's jump right into the Albany Empire. What most people are probably going to be joining this episode for is to try and hear what it was like on the interior for players playing under his leadership. Okay. To start off with that leadership, I think we've all here seen the video of him after a practice, shirtless, talking to the media, talking about things that are going on, players that are speaking out about him. And looking at that video that he put out, as a player in the Arena League myself, he felt very disrespectful to the athletes that were playing under him. And did you feel any disrespect as an athlete playing for him? And was there a vibe among the teammates of disrespect from that video?
Now, the crazy thing, and I've told my parents this, AB is not Antonio Brown. I know that sounds weird, but he said it himself in that interview. They're seriously 2 separate entities. I mean that. The player, Antonio Brown, is a great dude. He's a great guy. He brings the NFL intensity to the practice. That Wednesday when we had that practice, he came in, he practiced with us, and you can call him a dick if you want, but he will hold you accountable. And that's why he is what he was. He doesn't get there by mistake, by accident. Extreme accountability, self-accountability. He dropped a pass. I don't know if anyone could believe it. He dropped a pass and immediately dropped down, does some push-ups. I mean, that's even to that point as an arena guy, looking at someone who is literally regarded as one of the best receivers to ever step on the field, to just drop down, do some push-ups. You're like, that is the standard. That is what anyone should do. If you see a receiver drop a pass, he typically drops and does push-ups. That guy's no different. Now, would he tell you, hey, man, get your ass going. I don't give a shit that you're tired. Let's fucking go. Yeah, call him a dick if you want. Hey, man, you sucked on that rep. Hey, man, you look like ass right now. Take it with a grain of salt. It's extreme accountability, and every team usually has that guy. You may not like him at all times, but that very same guy is also one of the hardest workers on the team and will have your back if you're doing it. So that was Antonio Brown. That was the guy I threw to. That was the guy, there's clips of us, like, he's sitting there, hand on my shoulder, talking to me, telling me some things, like, because the rules of the quarterback in arena ball is pretty different than the rules as a quarterback in a full field thing. And, I'm trying to outside shoulder guys in the slot, and they're not really registering the ball because, one, it's coming through at 5 miles per hour or 5,000 miles per hour. You're 10 yards from me. Can't throw the same ball. So they're not even registering to reach for it. Now I throw a pick because the corner sitting on the outside just gets hit in the chest with the ball. AB knew what I was doing, but he's like, hey, man, it's arena ball. Just chest him. Just chest him. There's no need to lead him away from the defender because it's arena ball. Just chest him. So he's a real understanding dude. He's a smart dude. He is – honestly, he's very intellectual. I know sometimes the media likes to paint him as kind of crazy, but I just think he's got a different way of thinking, and some people don't like it, and it can be wrong, of course, but there's an intelligence like behind it that people don't think of. It's hard. I mean, it's a very weird thing, dude. Like, but hearing him talk, like, totally changed my perspective because I was the initial guy that was like, dude, they think this guy's crazy. And then to hear him just speak like a normal person, human to human, player to player, you're like, no, this guy knows a ton about football. He is a genius when it comes to football. And then he goes on the cameras, man, and those interviews, like, obviously he's a human. He hears everything people say about him. That's a human thing. Just like, people like to flame Kevin Durant for having the burners or whatever. They're humans, bro. Yeah, they're top of the craft, but they're still humans. If they want to, they hear you. And so AB and Kevin Durant, for example, choose to respond to you. Call it an arena player. KD doesn't really talk down, but there's a podcast with DeMar DeRozan and Paul George talking shit about NBA players. So
it's pretty funny.
Yeah, but that's how it is. And, that's NBA to NBA. Now you're talking Antonio Brown to arena guys. Like, obviously we know the level of athlete isn't NFL. That's why we're in the arena. But, like, take it with a grain of salt, dude. He's speaking his truth. In his head, he's speaking his truth. Some people can disagree. Sure, some people agree as well. So it goes both ways. But he just has a platform that really draws attention, dude, that arena's never gotten before.
It's interesting you mentioned that because all I'm thinking about is that's kind of the same thing I went through, which of course didn't meet him face to face, to be fair.
Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers came to mind. Aaron Rodgers has a lot of bad press typically, and I remember thinking this dude's fucking insane, whatever. And I still don't agree with everything he says. I'm gonna lead with that, but I will say that I started watching like the Pat McAfee show, for example, like last year. I never watched it before that. And
every Tuesday,
seeing Aaron Rodgers Tuesday gave me a new insight to him, and I was like,
"It's telling you, man. Like it's they're superhumans, but they are humans, and a lot of them are intelligent. They are very smart. They're not the big meatheads that just play football. A lot of those guys are really smart.
We've went into that a few times. Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. We've went into that a few times on the podcast about how even though we will go and shit on players constantly and everybody else does the same thing, they are still human. We like to express that.
Yeah.
And going back to what you said about the AB is not Antonio Brown thing and how he takes responsibility for all his actions, I feel like every athlete can really attest to that. If you have ever been like diehard about a sport that you loved, when you mess up, you like to do something to try and fix it. It's gonna piss you off regardless, but it's for the better. And hearing you say that about him, it puts him in a new light in my head because all I can ever think about is all the bad stuff that he's done, the pool situation, all the big things that came out for no reason. Like, I mean, obviously for a reason because he's such a
the only reason it came out though is because it's Antonio Brown.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yeah. And I get when you're that big as an athlete, you have that name. You can't go around doing stuff like that because you know it's going to get out. But like you said, it's Antonio Brown. They're still human.
Yeah.
You can't really dig too much into it, or else it's just gonna make you hate all your favorite athletes.
Exactly. I promise you, there's a lot of guys that make those same mistakes that don't get the same media press. I mean, it's a dime a dozen. You find someone that has a squeaky clean career. I mean, name a guy off your head. What is a big time, long time athlete that has a squeaky clean career?
It's not. You can't think of any.
The only one I can even imagine is my favorite athlete, LeBron. That's it. That's the only one. That's it. Even my favorite quarterback in Peyton at once upon a time had an issue with human growth hormones or doing some with his trainer at Tennessee. And we all know Peyton and love Peyton, but he gets bad reps still. So,
well, and it's obviously just the way media is. They're gonna do a name that's gonna draw attention, and they always take people out of context too. I've had some problems. I'm a Titans fan, by the way. There's been several things that have come out context-wise with our wide receiver one, Traylon Burks, that has been taken horribly out of context about the DeAndre Hopkins situation. So that's I can totally see it from that standpoint. So
I had to, as a Packers fan, I had to deal with everything Steven was talking about with Aaron Rodgers for years. Yeah. So I had to kind of just let go of everything that he said, just enjoy the game.
Yep.
It's good to hear you say that it's a different person in the media and off the field. But I think more so right now with this next question I'm about to ask you, I kind of want to know what their vibe was, because I understand as an athlete, it seems like I don't think I've heard a bad thing about Antonio Brown as a teammate and as an athlete.
Right.
I kind of want to ask your opinion from what was the vibe from the players still on the roster about him as an owner? I don't know if there was anybody that was still left from the original roster whenever he took over, because there were the issues that were alleged of the past of not paying players, them getting kicked out of the hotel due to some of his leadership choices. So how did the teammates view him as an owner? Because I know as a player, as an athlete, I've never heard anybody come out against him in that context. But as leadership qualities go, what was the vibe about it?
The biggest issue that I heard multiple times is he was kind of absent. Like, he was an absent owner. He'd show up occasionally and then leave, or you saw his dad for a little bit and then they disappeared. So he kind of got in trouble for being like an absent owner. But a lot of guys are like that. You know, if you ask guys around the Arena League, you know, the owners aren't just there. The only time, like in Jacksonville, is when like we went into the office and the owner was in the office type stuff. So as an owner, you know, the whole pay players thing, you know, so in Jacksonville, I was with Sam Castronova, the guy that you know, championship MVP, stuff like that. And he will tell you AB's crazy. It's the craziest guy he's ever met. And he has a whole thing about him on different articles. So Sam will tell you he's crazy. Didn't like him as an owner. Like, he made everything terrible. And obviously his track record shows you it's not good. But, you know, he did pay for hotels. He made sure his guys had places to stay. Were they the best places? Sometimes no. But the Holiday Inn that they stayed in before was nice. But then, like, all of a sudden, the Holiday Inn contract got cut because of issues with AB. Loud music and marijuana use was the report. So they got kicked out of the Holiday Inn, and then the guys like to call it the Red Roach Inn. It's the Red Roof Inn. That place is kind of underwhelming. And then they put us in this place called like a Wyndon Johnson or something like that. Like Winston Johnson. I can't remember what I was at. But I didn't mind it, but some of the guys definitely mind where they were compared to the Holiday Inn. So he paid for hotels. The only issue I heard is that they didn't get a lot of food. And we did never get breakfast. We never got breakfast the 3 days I was there for breakfast. I had to pay for my breakfast and get it myself. But we did have lunch. They gave us like meal cards, basically, like, you know, visit places. Here's a $20 card. Here's a $20 card. Go eat here for free, whatever. So there was food. There was a place to stay. There was an arena to play in, you know. So, but the pay was a weird thing. They said it goes back and forth. Some days on Thursdays, some days on Fridays. So, for example, like this last one, some people didn't get paid on Thursday. And then when Friday hit, everything was going down. So some people still didn't get paid. But our ops guy, Eric Sanchez, is a saint. He does everything for them. He made sure everybody got paid. And then Coach Mo Leggett made sure everybody got home. So he got like the sponsors together. Hey, man, we'll get you guys some flights, get out of here type stuff. But AB, as an owner, I'd say absent, like and I think another thing with AB, when he bought that team with good intention, I mean, I think he had sole good intention. His dad was on it. He loved the place of Albany. Mm-hmm. He wasn't prepared to run a team. He could own it, but he wasn't ready to run it. And I think that's what got him. I think that's where people freaked out. League dues, which is why we ended up getting terminated, was the league dues. He didn't pay the league dues. If you look, I know you guys know it. You've looked into it. Every team owes a seventh to the league. Yeah. But like, so he wouldn't pay those. Like, and according to Coach Mo, like, kind of had to like have a conversation with him, and be like, hey man, like this is just what we got to do. Like, I know it seems like bullshit, but this is what everybody does. We just got to do it. So eventually, AB would relent and be like, all right, fuck it, I'll pay for it. I don't know what happened with the league dues. I don't know why that's a thing. I don't know why that happened for so long. But it went away with like traveling hotels. He's like, why the hell are you not paying for our hotels? And Coach Mo was like, that's our job. That's our travel. Like that's our operating budget. We have to do that. That's just like the business side of things. I just don't think AB was prepared to be doing. Would he do it down the road? Sure. Like, if he figured it out and, like, had everything in line, sure, I think he would do it. I don't think money's the issue. A lot of people want to say he's broke. I don't think money's the problem. It could be, but I don't think that's the issue. I just don't think he was ready to run the team.
That's very interesting to hear you say about, like, what was going on with the arena team, because being a player in this level as well,
yeah,
it's a similar situation here at the Topeka Tropics. We just had a bunch of people we had a situation this year, which is how I ended up coming on this team. Similar thing, players saying they weren't getting paid, they weren't getting housing, they weren't getting meals. But just like you said, they were getting it. It's just that they didn't like what they were getting.
Exactly.
The only reason, I guess, now that I'm looking back on it, that my opinion was skewed about this situation, and I just took it as fact, even though I myself literally just saw it, have been working with the owners, and I just saw it myself, was because of the AB persona. And so immediately hearing on it, I was like, well, that's just the guy that he is. But
makes sense.
Now that everything makes a lot more sense now. It's just, for some reason, guys at this league don't fully understand how much it costs to be able to get some of the things that they're requesting. And if you look into the contract situations, by the sounds of it, he fulfilled every contractual obligation that he had, at least for I don't know how it works in the NAL, but in the CIF, the only thing they're required to give you is your pay for the games, housing, and food. So if they paid you if they gave you one meal a day and had your housing and you got paid on after the games, their contractual obligation is fulfilled. Just
right.
One meal is all they had to give you. But
and that's where, like, you got some guys got spoiled. Like, so when I look in Jacksonville, to my time in Jacksonville, their community engagement was insane, man. Like, every day they were at a pizza place, they're at a school, they have like all this like advertisement in random shops. Like, the Sharks were just, when I say this, it's guarded. They were a big entity, just like the Jaguars. I mean, you ask who the Sharks is to a random person in Jacksonville, they know it, and that's the thing. And then, going on to that point, we were all the Thursday before everything fell apart. Coach Mo said, hey, there's an event at 5 p.m. I want you guys to attend it. We're telling you to attend it. And a lot of the guys were like, nah, fuck that. I'm not going to that event. Why do I got to go to that event? It's a basketball game. That's bullshit. What? Why? So you want to be given a lot of things, but you can't even go do the community involvement that you're obligated. You're not obligated, but you want the sponsor to go to the fucking events, dude. Yeah. And, like, I was sitting there having to convince guys, and they're like, oh, you're just being a good dude. And I'm like, no, bro, I saw how it was done. Those dudes got oil changes for free to play football. What the fuck does oil change have to do with football? But they got it for free because they went and advertised with this dude. Like, that's what you get. You get what you put in, not just in sports, but, like, in life. Like, go be a good human being, and they'll pay you back.
That's exactly right. And at this level, that's what you have to do. You have to go out into the community and do a lot of things. In fact, I'm actually staying after the season. I decided to stay in Topeka to try and help this team build up more community involvement, which is where I'm at right now, is trying to get out there and trying to build more relationships with the local restaurants, with the local community, because the team's only 2 years old, going into their third season here.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a built-in brand like there is in the NAL with the Jacksonville Sharks and with the Albany Empire that they could rely on. So I'm having to help go out there and be like, hey, the players need to be a face for that team.
Right. That's the thing.
Coaches and owners can do all they want to. The players have to be a face. And by the sounds of it, there wasn't a very good culture to get players to go out there.
Yeah.
On the
Nobody cares about the 45-year-old man in a suit, dude. No one gives a damn about that. No kid cares about that. They like seeing the big athlete, the dude that plays football, regardless. And some dudes didn't quite grasp that. And you could tell, like, maybe they're rookies, maybe they're just, they don't give a fuck to be nice for no reason. That's fine. Like, but that's where people got caught up there. You know, if you have a community engagement opportunity, take full advantage of it, because, you know, you want to get free cryotherapy, go advertise that dude's cryotherapy. And that was the thing we had, free cryotherapy. That's awesome. Did you have free cryotherapy in Topeka?
Right now, no, we don't. We don't.
That's it. Albany Empire had free cryotherapy. And it really is, you get what you put in. Now, of course, if you want to complain that AB didn't do XYZ, that's fine. But, I mean, on our end, we got to do our best as players to hold up our end, regardless of, you know, if you're a good dude in the community, you can go eat for free, man. Like, 9 times out of 10, like, in Jacksonville, for example, you can go to them like, hey, man, I'm part of the Sharks. All right, here's $15 off. Like, that's like what it is. Here's $15 off. Here's this meal for free. Like, you're a professional now. They can do favors for you if they appreciate the brand you are representing. This isn't college. You don't get in trouble for getting that shit no more. Like, you're a professional, bro. Like, go take advantage of it.
It really all comes back down to what you were saying. Just don't be a shitty person. Go out, do your due diligence. Go hug a couple kids, kiss a baby, sign a couple papers, and you're fine. Like you said, you get free stuff. Why would you complain? It's free.
And what else are you gonna do? I mean, Gavin, what did you do in your free time?
You went and go work out. You watch film. You go
Played
to eat,
Fortnite
but
with
then
me.
you have so many other hours in the day. What are you focusing on? You just got to focus on trying to build into the community, man. I mean,
we were up.
This is in college. You don't have class to go worry about anymore.
So. We had stuff to do, and this is just because we didn't leave the arena. We were busy 7:30 to 2, really 8 to 2. You know, so like outside of the 2 to 9, what are you doing, dude? Like, I'm prepping for bed about 9 o'clock because I'm an old man and I'm not trying to wake up groggy eyed and shit like that. But like 2 to 9, like you got food, maybe you go work out, but like you got 4 hours, 5 hours, like go do something. Like, and maybe you want to sit home and play video games, but the 2 days a week they're saying, hey man, go to this basketball game. Go to the fucking basketball game. Go get involved. It's not a big deal.
Go there, let them get you on the Jumbotron, take a couple pictures, man.
Yeah.
Go to a local restaurant, go support them, wear your gear. I mean, stuff like that is big at this level.
We lost it.
To not do all of that and then to complain about it, it's a lot of things now. I think a lot of people are going to start to hear what you're saying, and a lot of things are going to make a lot more sense from what they're getting out in the news.
Yeah, so and now there are some guys that were there for like a longer time, like Fabian. I can't remember. I'm struggling to remember names because I got there for 2 days. A guy named Tony. He was a receiver. Like, there were guys there for a little bit. Starks. They didn't have necessarily an issue with it, but like they didn't complain as much as the guys that just got there. The dudes that have been there longer didn't complain as much as the guys that just got there. They didn't act as like and not. This is not saying to any of my teammates that I met, like, but I kind of felt like there's an idea in your head for professional ball, like you should get XYZ, but like at our level, it's not given yet. You know, like you really have to work for those opportunities, and you don't just get handed that opportunity. And it sucks. It's annoying Because in the back of your head, you're like, man, I'm a professional football player. Like, why can't I get that stuff? But they earned it. Like, you have to go earn it. And some of the guys maybe just thought, like, I'm a pro. I need that stuff. I should get that stuff.
So
Take it with a grain of salt.
So I have a question kind of about like just the feel of the locker room, I guess you could say. Just the players themselves. So like do you feel like most of the players are going into this thinking, hey, this is just a resume builder. This is just me getting something to show myself and to go like try to push for a higher level? Or do you still feel like most of the players are just happy to be there, just happy to get a chance to play at a higher level?
Well, I was in both boats. I was happy to be there. I didn't care. And then I was also using it as a resume builder. And I think a lot of guys took it as both ways. I don't think anyone was really settled on just playing arena ball. And I don't think you get settled on playing arena ball until you start reaching the twilight years of your athleticism. Down in Jacksonville Sharks, there was like 34-year-olds, 35-year-olds, just enjoying the fact they still get to go out there and play football. Like, they're ex-CFL guys, just doing it because they can, just doing it because they want to. Yeah. No, I definitely went through both ways. And that's another thing, everyone took it serious. Like, when we were out there, the 2 days that I practiced, shit was serious. And they said those are that was like the two best practices they've had all season. So, for what reason? Is it because AB showed up on Wednesday? Is it because I was playing quarterback? Is it because the new team was finally gelling? There's a lot of factors you can read into it. But, like, those 2 days I was there was professional football, strict ran practice. We were on schedule. We played like hell. We went hard as hell against each other and called it a day. And after that, we were teammates. We were buddies. Everyone was cool with each other.
Awesome.
And we went out to this place called Apex and played games, dude. I mean, it's a big Dave and Buster's type shit. But, I mean, those days were like those 2 days. And it was just 2 days. But, like, we were at it. We were going at it. It was not like some bullshit fuck around type thing.
That's good. And you bonded in the off hours, too.
Yeah, dude, a lot. And especially awesome. With this happening.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah.
That's to hear the level of practice that you guys were at, it upsets me because I was looking forward to watching the game, especially after seeing the fact that you were going to be the starting QB for him. I don't think you understand how excited I was to watch the game this past weekend.
Yeah, we were ready, dog. We were going to do some shit.
I know you were. And now knowing that you were about to go play a former team in the Jacksonville Sharks, I mean, there were so many levels to this that I would have been so fucking amped for you, man. But to hear that it had to shut down like the way it did, especially knowing now, like through us, what's going on with the UFL, think you have an opportunity there, and then all of a sudden it just keeps getting fucking pushed down the line. Then you go to the NAL, you're going to play with fucking Antonio Brown, you're going to get NFL scouts on you. No matter what you did. You had NFL scouts that were going to look and watch your game tape, and they had to watch you because they're there to watch the wide receiver. So if you ball out, you had a fucking huge opportunity at that moment.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you now, what are we looking to do for the future? I know you were just at the XFL showcase.
Yep.
You were out there dropping dimes. You were fucking showing them, hey, if you need me to, I'll go run the wide receiver drills better than they're doing it right now. If you need me to, I'll do a lot better than the tight ends. I'll hit the hole better than the running backs, but I can also show you, take a look at this hand. That's the left hand. I'll fucking throw a 50-yard bomb for you, too. What are you looking at doing right now?
I mean, so there's this league called the RPFL. It's the Rivals Professional Football League. It's the one that I have a true invite to. It's up in Detroit. It's been going on for 10 years. I'm heading up there to July 29th for a draft of some sort. That's really like my next guaranteed step of football. Dude, honestly, Gavin, what I look forward to and hope is that Joe pulls it out of his ass and we play next summer. That's what I want. I want us to play next summer. But the next guaranteed step for football is just see if this RPFL thing, it's 11 on outdoor, go out there and just kind of rock it and throw the best I can. But other than that, CFL tryouts, XFL tryouts, there's going to be arena tryouts next year, shit like that. So
I know there's probably a team out in Kansas that might be looking to send you an invite for a tryout. So
I wouldn't mind getting a phone call from a Kansas number. So
yeah, no, just floating that out there. There might be a little bit of a phone call and some discussion in the future. Don't worry about that one there, brother. But I know you're definitely looking to try out. I'm looking forward to seeing where you go from there as an athlete. I'm wondering, boys, I know you guys have some more questions that you had written down. Is anybody wanting to go ahead and ask anything at the moment?
Yeah, I just got like one or two more questions. So the big thing I wanted to ask, you kind of touched most of my questions, but the one thing I wanted to ask, and obviously you were supposed to play against your old team, the Sharks, this last weekend. You were practicing and everything with Antonio Brown, right? Like he was there. You were practicing with him. I just want to know what that felt like to take a moment and realize I'm literally throwing to Antonio Brown. Like, what did that feel like for you?
So the weirdest thing initially was when he showed up. Like, it was a moment it took me to realize, because I was fresh there and I didn't know who the fuck this guy was running onto the field, like dapping everybody up. Like at that point, he had like no shirt on, and he was just like he was ready to warm up. He was putting it. He had a shirt in his hand. He hadn't put it on yet. And then like he showed up, hops on the field, like hops over the fence, and like we just finished warming up, and he's just dapping everybody up. He comes up, daps me up, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, who the fuck is this? Like. I know this guy for sure. And then he daps a few more people up, and I was like, wait, fuck, that's Antonio Brown. That's the guy. That's the dude. And so for a moment, you kind of fanboyed. You're like, whoa, fuck, that's that guy. But then you kind of reel it back in, though, and you're like, hold up, that's my boss. That's my teammate. That dude can tell me if I can fuck off and not get a contract. So like, hold up. So reel it back in. And then we start running, and you can see the tier that he's on compared to everybody else. And that's where the disrespect, Gavin, where like you're like, these are guys that also get paid, but like that dude made other dudes look like children. And he did it. Those times are like the big one that's on like most of our social medias is I threw a fucking like it's a full field pass down the left side to him and he catches it like over his shoulder. All he did, dude, was like a change of pace thing. He took off for about 5 yards jogging, and then all of a sudden he's running a 4.3, and he's running down the field, and it's run right past this guy. And for me, it was such an adjustment, like from the guy, our top guy, Fabian, who's really good, incredible, played in the CFL, like is a dog. To throw to Fabian, you're like, oh, that's guy. He's a guy. He's a dog. But then you throw to AB, and it's like he just moves different. Like everything, he just moves different. Even at 35, 34, whatever he is, he just moves different, dude. It's such a next level tier that you cannot comprehend until you see it in person. Mm-hmm. You can preach it, you can say it all day, but you see the S tier athletes play the S tier athletes on Sunday, and you're like, oh, that dude's good, but like, no, dude, that dude was the best of the best, but he's still the best of the people that were the best. And then he comes down here, and he's still just, like, twitchy. Like, it's just twitchy. It's maddening to see how quick his feet are, like, how quick he can change the direction. And he hasn't played ball in almost 2 years now, right? Like, I think in 21 or January of 22, something like that, whenever he hopped off the field. Like, that dude probably really hasn't worked out super hard to play football. And he comes out here, and he's making moves that, like, there was one time he was running a corner route, and he made a cut that his body – clearly he could do, but his body had not done it in a while, and he stumbles for like 3 steps, and you're like, dude, you're gonna hurt yourself. Like, you're not prepared to do this. You are still physically capable, but you are not prepared to do it. And throwing to him, it was a surreal point because you're like, I'm throwing to a guy like Antonio Brown being like Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, like those dudes also throw to this guy. And that's a weird point to put me in the same category that I threw to the same guy. Mm-hmm. But other than that, dude, you really had to treat him like another player. Like there's still reads. There's still, as much as AB's open, AB's not always open based off the read. And it's hard to reel it in and be like, I can't just throw it to Antonio Brown. Yeah. As much as I could. I probably could have. I probably could have said fuck it ball and just chucked it and it would have worked.
It's the whole fuck it, AB's down there somewhere.
Honestly, there was times where you're like, man, like, just throw it up there. There's 2 people.
Well,
but
yeah, it's like you said, like in other words, like it's basically he's got his job, but you've got your job too. You gotta reel it in, just focus on doing your part, or else you could not be on the team if they decide you're not worth it. So, yeah.
But there was still a chance he didn't play Saturday again because he was gassed, man. Like for him to be a top tier athlete, like he was gassed trying to push himself to 110%, and he wasn't in that condition. So like Coach Mo alleged to it, like he was like he's got to get his legs under him before he put out there because we don't want him to go out there playing arena ball and blow a tire and you're like shit. For no reason, this 35-year-old dude just went and got himself hurt because he just didn't prepare himself. And we didn't want to do that. So there was a chance we never had him. Like, so I still had to make my reads. I still had to know the damn plays. So as much as it was hard to not do that, I still, there had to be that professional part where it was like, okay, play the offense.
See, that's also, it's smart on the coaching staff for that reason of if he's not ready, let's not throw him out there. Because if you lose AB, all the hype around the team plummets.
And it hurts, dude. And it sucks that has to be the thing. But because Antonio Brown is involved with the NAL, that is the most coverage any arena league has gotten is just because Antonio Brown bought a team.
Yep.
I mean, Destroying owns a team. He's another big figure in YouTube. He owns a team in the fan-controlled football league, and no one gives a shit. It's Antonio Brown that owns this team, and everybody gives a damn. So,
the last time that the Arena League, I feel like, had that level of publicity that it had with Antonio Brown was whenever the AFL, the Arena Football League, shut down. I think that was the last time that the Arena Football League was really in that news cycle like that. The Fan Control Football League, they have a great following. It's a fun game to watch out there.
It really is.
But it doesn't get that level of hype because AB is AB.
Yeah, did you know that Quavo also owns that team that Destroying's on?
Really?
Marshawn Lynch had one in there. Bob Meanery. They got a lot of celebrity owners in that league.
But it's not advertised, and that's the weird thing. Like, why do you not advertise you own that team? So many more people would watch it. And, like, that's where AB's at. AB's like, I own this team. Like, watch the Albany Empire. We play, And that's what he's so good at. That's why he's so good for the NAL. But obviously,
it's people with a media mindset of, I got to make as much money as possible. I'm going to endorse this as 100%. Everybody's going to hear that I'm the one who owns this team. Everybody's watching.
Exactly.
Especially when you're AB. Like you said, all of us grew up watching him.
Yep.
Everybody knows the name.
Ask any male that's mid-20s and up, and even low 20s. Like, they know who Antonio Brown is.
Oh, yeah.
And they also know that they know who Jackie Moon is, and AB decided to turn himself into that was going to for this weekend as well. So
yeah, honestly.
Well, the last thing I was gonna ask is, I promise, is the last Empire question I've got. Was well, it was just gonna be from y'all's perspective, you as players. Did y'all find out the same time like the media announced it, or was there some sort of meeting or anything like that discussing they were gonna close it down, or how did that go?
Nah, that's the shitty part, and that's like the one time that I got mad at everything. I was pissed off. So we went through all the practice, woke up that morning, all the practice, ate lunch, went through meetings, and we just get back to the hotel. And one of our guys is like, hey, bro, what the fuck is this? And shows us his phone on Facebook where the NAL had announced we've been terminated.
Oh, my God.
I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, no, that's not. It's AB's team. That's a troll. Like, it's a troll. So I Google it, and then it pops up on the NAL Twitter. And I'm like, no fucking way, dude. So then I go to the NAL website, and 6 minutes ago, they announced that they met at noon, and they terminated our team at like 2:00.
But that's heartbreaking.
That is a shitty way to find out.
Yeah,
that's how
for 2 days.
And so we drive back down to the arena, and we start knocking on our coach's door like, what the fuck? Because our coach is our really only connection to the front office. The front office is AB. And so we're knocking on the door, and he's like, what the fuck? Like, what do y'all want? And we're like, the fuck is this, dude? And he's like, I don't fucking know. Coach didn't even know, dude.
Yeah.
Like, Coach didn't know. So then we finally get like a message from our ops guy, Eric, like, hey man, by the way, this is confirmed. This is what happened. And for about 2 hours, like, you're holding on for dear life. Like, hey man, this is going to get reversed, right? They're going to fix it. But it turned out, so the deadline was noon, like, for him to pay. Deadline hit. They're like, fuck it, they're out. Then supposedly they reached out to the league and was like, all right, well, we'll pay it, but show me proof that everyone else has also paid it. Which is where you're annoyed. You're like, bro, just pay your fucking fee. It doesn't matter if anyone else didn't pay it. Your dues are due. Like, that's the whole be a good person. Just do your part.
And you're already on thin ice, too, so it's like...
Exactly. And so, but that's the problem with AB, where, like, I think there's an intelligence there, because he's like, I know other people have fucked up and haven't paid before. And AB has brought revenue to the league that it's probably never seen. And so for him, like, his logic is like, I'm putting words in his mouth completely. He has never said this. This is an assumption in my head. Like, so please understand that. Okay. Like, hey, I've brought, let's say, $50,000 in revenue to the league. Why the hell should I have to pay the $7,000?
Yeah.
And as much as that's justifiable, that's not the contractual obligation that he signed as an owner. He's not wrong. I don't disagree with it. But if that's how the world worked, then you're having the bottom have to pay so much, and it's not fair. You're burying the guy. Like, you're burying them even more. So that's where the NAL does good to keep it even. But that's what I would have to think how AB thought. Like, hey, man, like, y'all can barely afford to play in this league. What the fuck? Like, fuck you guys. Mm-hmm. And so he was kind of saying, like, show me that everyone else is paid too, and then I'll pay. And that's where I'm telling you, money's not the issue. He's going to pay it. And then he went on live with one of our teammates, maybe Saturday, and he was like, I paid all my dues. They're paid for. So supposedly to this point he's paid them. But it's too little too late. You've already broke the camel's back. But from my understanding, they're going to try and do something tomorrow. They have a meeting tomorrow. Could I be back up in Albany Tuesday again? I don't know. Hopefully. But that's, from my understanding, what I know what's going on. He supposedly paid everything. They're going to meet tomorrow, talk about it. I'm sure there are so many stipulations, like, for him to get back into it. But even then, Chris Siegfried, the commissioner, said that he would welcome back Antonio Brown as an owner, as long as obviously some things change, and he wants the Albany Empire to be a part of the NAL in 24. So it's not like they're blacklisting Antonio Brown. They just said, hey, we're fucking tired of you not doing it, so we got to take action.
I think it comes down to an ego thing.
Yep. Swallow your pride.
Yeah.
It seems like there's definitely going to be a chance for there to be some traction. That there's a good chance that we can hope to maybe see whenever this podcast is posting that you're back on a flight. Hopefully Eric from Ops is able to get you another flight out there. To hear that they paid for your flight home is something that is actually
they didn't pay for mine. They didn't pay for mine. I luckily am financially capable, so I got the fuck out of there Thursday. But some of the guys that weren't, they got some sponsors together and they paid for some of the guys to get home.
That's awesome to be able to hear that they were able to do that for some of the guys. Just because that's something, especially at this league, it's not a very common occurrence at this level to have that be financially stable and also to have sponsors that are able to do that for their players. So,
and if you look at like Albany news stations, News 6, News 10, News 13, all the damn numbers, and then there's Times Union. That's the biggest one that I keep seeing is Times Union. Albany had a chokehold on that community. Like, the Empire itself had a chokehold on that community. A lot of people relied on us for business on their block parties on Friday night. They had a huge celebration down the strip right in front of MVP Arena. The obviously shop owners were kind of hoping like that draws in a lot of attention. And if you walk around the streets of Albany, it's a city you look at, and with the amount of population that's there could easily be 3 times the amount of people, and it wouldn't choke the city. It's a very low populated but built up city. So you could tell, like, when we got kicked, like, there was a lot of, like, issues in the community that have arisen. If you look at it, like, there's a lot of people that are like, damn, like, we relied on the Empire and stuff like that. So, I mean, hopefully, like, there's enough backlash from Albany itself. If AB has actually paid his fines, there's a chance. If Eric is over here, like, really working it and being like, hey, man, like, we'll take care of the operations. AB's just going to be our face, like, our kind of our account type guy. We'll take care of all that, like, XYZs. Maybe that's the reinstatement. Maybe that's what it takes to get the reinstatement. But
that's well, we're definitely all going to be here and always on the market. We're definitely all going to be rooting for that.
Dude, I am rooting for you, man. For
Absolutely.
real. For real. I want to see you play.
That we all want to see you be playing at some point during the season this year, just because knowing the past of what's going on with the path to try and get into this professional level,
yeah,
dude, we're all rooting for you to be able to finally get a freaking shot and a fair shake at this game, man. Just
yeah, give you a chance. This is you just keep getting caught in just unfortunate situations.
Yeah.
We're
So that actually feeds right into one of my questions that I have. Considering we touched on the UFL with you and Gavin, and now the NAL. So, do you feel like you have to go in with 100% confidence on any leagues that reach out to you, or are you going to be skeptical from here on out on any team that wants to potentially sign you?
That's a hard one. I want to have the blind hope that it works. Because, you know, this will be my 20th season of football. Like, if I play this year of football, this will be my 20th year playing football. Fucking 2 decades of my life have been dedicated to this sport. So, yeah, I want to have the blind hope that it's going to work out, which is why I so quickly signed with the UFL, which, knowing what I know now, you know, back in December, I'd have slapped the 22-year-old me and been like, chill the fuck out. Go explore other options first. At that point in time, I had FCF tryouts lined up. I had NAL tryout. I had a lot of shit, like, tryouts just lined up. But then seeing his contract obligations where it's like no other teams on our level, so I missed a ton of tryouts. But going into, like, your point, like, I have to. Like, I just want to play football. Like, I've told news anchors, I've told news interviews, I just want to play football. Obviously, getting paid's cool. I would love to do it. That's my goal. But, like, if they're saying, hey, man, here's a penny and a sandwich, we'll pay for your hotel, like, cool. Like, I get to play football. That's what I want. I want to do that. That's what I want to be my job. I want that to be what I do. So I got to have the blind hope. But there will be guards in the sense of, like, well, all right, let me figure out. Like, the RPFL, for example, before I said anything to it, I went on its website and scoured the website. The website's sketchy. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I go to its YouTube, and I'm looking on its YouTube, and I'm just scrolling. I'm making sure. I probably watched 7-8 hours of RPFL YouTube videos just to make sure that it's real. Like, I was like, this shit better be fucking real. Like, I'm not playing that game no more. So that's where I'm at.
You pretty much answered it how I expected you to. If you don't go in with 100% confidence, something is going to wind up not working out.
Yeah.
It's something else. So you said that you played pretty much every position on offense except for offensive line at this point.
I played right guard my second year of football, so don't you worry.
Never mind.
I got it covered.
So what position are you wanting to play the most out of any positions that you've already played?
For a long time, I thought it was receiver. Probably for like 3 years, I thought it was receiver. I was initially at East Tennessee State, and I was like, playing receiver is so much easier. I don't got to think about all that shit. I just got to go run a route or block. And I kind of accepted that after my second year of quarterback at Brevard, and they moved me. But then I got back into that emergency role and played quarterback, and I was like, no, this is why I love football. This is why I've done it for so long, and fell right back in love with quarterback. So quarterback is the goal. Quarterback is the one I want.
All right.
Well,
Yeah, hopefully it works out where you get to actually be quarterback and not get moved around to every position every other game.
At this point, I won't accept it.
Yeah.
I won't do it. I did it for college for free because that's what my team needed, but I'd rather not play if it's not quarterback anymore. So.
Okay.
I completely get that, man. You gotta have that position that you rely on.
Yeah.
The whole. Does anybody else have any questions that they feel like they want to ask, man?
I have one more.
All right.
Keep going.
You were at the XFL showcase. There's not a team called the Falcons in the XFL. So what would be your dream team for the XFL?
There is a team in Orlando. I think Orlando Renegades.
Guardians.
Guardians.
Yeah, that's right.
Guardians. I love Orlando. Orlando is one of my favorite places. So,
Okay.
Heard it here first.
Yeah, Orlando's awesome, dude. Obviously, I'm a kid at heart. Disney's amazing. So being in Disney, there's a lot of golf courses around there too. So, and of course, one of my college teammates, Stephen Hogan, lives near there, and a lot of my guys live kind of like that strip of I-4. Tampa's here, then it's Orlando, then there's Daytona and Jacksonville. Yeah, I got a lot of guys in that area. So.
Okay, cool.
All right.
I mean, hopefully, any of these options that you have work out so that you get to actually do what you want. Because I think people who get to do what they want for a living is so cool. Because I don't get to do that. So seeing people like you and Gavin get to do what they want for a living is really cool to me.
Yeah, it's a spider web, dude. I just keep trying to make connections and keep trying to reach out as far as I can. So we'll see if something sticks.
I think I speak for everybody here, man. You keep busting your ass. We're all rooting for you right now, and I know that there's definitely going to be a shot that's going to open up in your future. And by the sound of it, you're just going to take that shit by the horns and just fucking ride it to the end, man. I know that you're going to make it work somehow, some way, with certain leagues. And I also think I speak for everybody whenever I say this went fucking amazing. You
absolutely
took the questions and turned them into a fucking amazing story. You kicked ass throughout this entire thing.
You're probably the best interview I've ever seen, like interviewer I've ever seen. So
I'm glad I could help.
That was fucking amazing. But so let me go ahead and say this. Thank you all so very much for listening. To any new listeners that we have out there, please go ahead and share this certain video, certain podcast. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to share us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Get the word out. We're trying to build a bigger community so we can build a better show to be able to show to you guys. Thank you all so very much for listening today, and I hope you all enjoyed. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you, boys.